Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to Being Conscious. Have you ever wondered the basis of the universe in terms of how everything is trying to restore its balance? The law of entropy is evident in every small part of our surroundings. If you closely observe, you will notice that whenever we are subjecting something against the natural laws, it is always creating a sense of excess potential. And nature is always trying to correct that excess potential. What I mean by that is, now let's say I hold this pen and I am holding it for probably an hour. What do you think will happen? My hand will start to pain, right? You say it's common sense? Yes, you're right, it's common sense. But what am I trying to point towards with this example? When you are holding things in you, when you are holding stuff within you for a long time, you become heavy and it starts to pain. We understand this in the physical realm, but it's very difficult for us to digest this in the psychological realm. All of us are nothing but remnants of memory, remnants of the past. Our present and future is heavily colored with hues of the past unless somebody has enough presence. The light, the fire of presence is so much that is able to burn the past. But we are talking about the 90-95% of the population for whom the future is basically a repetition of the past. No matter how many circumstances, no matter how many jobs, no matter how many relationships a person changes, the cycles continue. And then we think, why did life didn't change even after I switched the job, even after I changed the relationship? Because they are not addressing the root cause. They think changing the outside circumstances will make their life blossom into something magnificent. But when that does not happen, they start cribbing, they start feeling melancholic, they start feeling depressed, and they probably blame their stars as to why I am so unfortunate. Today's video, we are going to continue on the untethered soul. We are going to talk about a new segment wherein we'll talk about this particular topic of letting go. We have all thought and heard about this concept of letting go since time immemorial. But why is it so hard? Let us explore the dynamics from the standpoint of Michael Singer, and let us together try to unravel the different layers of what's going on here. Now, if you talk about this example which I gave in the very beginning of this video, you will understand one thing, that everything in nature is restoring balance. Now, if you are someone who has a lot of stuff within you which is firmly hid, you would be a person who would try to be a control freak. Now, what does a control freak mean? Now, you will always try to create situations which are comfortable to you. You will always try to create situations which are predictable to you, because you have a lot of fear within you. The person who has a lot of fear is resistant to change, and change is the only constant. And why do I say this? Why do I say that a person who has a lot of fear is resistant to change? Because deep within he feels that if he is not managing his reality the way he wants it, there will not be a need to feel that unpleasant emotion called fear. But what he fails to understand is, living this is like living a life of bondage. Because you are constantly trying to manage situations of the outer world so that that blocked energy of fear within you is not hit. Just imagine how futile and how bonded the person would feel. A way to manage your reality, always trying to fit circumstances under your description of desirable. We all have a to-do list of what is desirable and what is not desirable. And when what is not desirable starts to happen in an environment, something within us is stimulated, something within us is hit. And when it is hit, it creates a lot of unpleasantness within us. And this is the reason so many of us try to create situations which make them feel good. Now, you might have also noticed this escape routes, right? If you are not able to manage in a certain environment, you think just leaving your environment will probably sort things out. Sure, that can be a temporary relief, and I'm not against that. But what is happening? You are just burying the root cause. You didn't address the root cause. You didn't fix the problem. You just managed the symptoms. You know how the allopathic diagnosis works? They don't treat the root cause, they just try to suppress the symptoms. And you suddenly are in the illusion that you're all right, but you are essentially not all right. You have just suppressed the emotions. And it's just a matter of time that those suppressed emotions will rise up. And when they rise up, there's going to be a lot of force in them. And every time you take the easier route, every time you try to manipulate reality, or you try to hide behind stuff, you try to escape, or you try to run away, you think you are getting safe, or you think you escaped it, but you are going to face the consequences 2x, 3x, or maybe even 10x. The shallow understanding of human mind thinks that if he is able to escape via some mechanisms, he thinks he is able to escape reality. He thinks that he managed that fear. But what he fails to realize is nothing in this world is absolutely under control of us. Anything can happen anytime. The world might collapse tomorrow. Now, this is not to be pessimistic, this is to be realistic. The point is, how open are we to the possibility of change? Because if we aren't, that shows that a lot of fear is within our system. And if we are not going to cleanse that, if we are not going to release that fear, we are never able to fly in our life. We are never able to thrive in our life. We can survive, but we can't thrive. There's a huge difference between surviving and thriving. Because when you are thriving, you are the master of your destiny. You are the controller of your destiny. Because no matter what happens in the outside world, in your life circumstances, you don't leave the seat of your consciousness. You don't leave the seat of your awareness. Now let's get to the next dimension here. Now let's understand, let's investigate what happens in life. Let's say an unpleasant situation happened. Maybe you were fired from your current job, or maybe a financial calamity struck you, or you lost a lot of money. Now a normal person, when something tragic happens of severe magnitude, now most of us, 95% of the population, what they will do? They will probably get lost, they will feel completely broken, and they will fall down from the seat of consciousness. And because they fell down from the seat of consciousness, they will fall so down that instead of becoming melancholic, they might also react to the outside world. They might become defensive, they might fight. Now, what's happening is they are going further down. When I say down, in terms of consciousness, they are in the lowest scale of the spectrum. Now, Dr. David Hawkins built a phenomenal scale of consciousness where he talks about different humans, different emotions being at different levels of pedestal. In the other terms, guilt or emotion of low vibration is at the lowest branch, is the lowest end of the spectrum, and qualities of love, peace and enlightenment are at the highest end. Now when we are cornered and when we are subjected to unpleasant situations in life, the natural response is to go down. And there are some people who probably are addicted to some other thing, and to try to redirect their attention, they are consumed by them. Be it alcohol or drugs or the latest addiction of today's generation, social media. Now what is happening is you are numbing your brain. You don't want to feel that unpleasant tsunami of emotions. And as a result of not being able to witness that, as a result of not being able to face that, you are directing it, you are directing your consciousness and you're further moving down. It's like numbing yourself. It's like taking an anesthesia. The pain is still there, but you're not feeling it. But this is not the right way to deal with the situation. Now, what happens is every time you miss the chance of letting go, in other words, every time you miss the chance of rising up, you fall down. Osho put it brilliantly in another way. He said, either a person is expanding or he is contracting. There is no middle path. So either in a particular moment of the day, you are expanding, meaning you are lively, you're full of energy, you're engrossed in your work, you are absolutely in a state of flow, or you are comparing yourself with the other world, you're comparing yourself with someone whose journey is completely different, someone whose background, whose upbringing is different, and feeling sad. What a foolish way to think. I feel comparison is the most foolish thing a person can indulge in. We look at celebrities and think how beautiful their life is. Let me tell you, you don't know if that person had clear bowel movements in the morning. The problem is, we only compare part of the story. We don't compare the full picture. We compare one aspect and we see our life story and we see that this is missing and this person has it. Oh, how wonderful the person is. Now, this is not to say that person's life is not wonderful. The point I'm trying to drive here is every life has imperfections. There is no concept of a perfect life. Every human being goes through their share of sufferings. So it's pointless to compare your life with some other person. The only sane response in this entire trajectory of thought process is to compare yourself with your former self. What were you 5 years before and what you are now? And how you could improve yourself from a dimension of mind, body and soul is only what we need to concern ourselves with. Because everyone has a different prarabdha, sanchita and agami karma. Now this video is not about the concept of karma. That is a topic. It's an encyclopedia of topic by itself. Coming to the focus of this video, we talked about how important it is to let go when we are faced with the situation of fear. Because understand this, every time you resist yourself from doing what you fear, every time you turn your back towards fear and you don't face it head on, you are adding fuel to the fear. The fear is only going to get stronger. And let me ask you something, let me tell you something. This is not something which you are unaware of. Each human being has a common future. You know what that commonality is? You and me both are going to die one day. That is common. Now what happens between is the entire different story. But we all are going to die one day. So that's the ultimate fear. And all these fears are like sidekicks. The fear of rejection, the fear of what the world thinks. All these are granular aspects in the grand scheme of things. If you have this bird's eye view of fear, if you have a bird's eye view of the things happening in your life, you will start laughing at your own childish foolishness. And every time you rise from the fear, every time you let go of that heavy burden of blocked energy, which is fear, you're rising up. And every process, every seemingly unpleasant process or situation in your life is an opportunity to release the fear, is an opportunity for purification. Because every time that happens, every time something is within you, your fear is triggered and you face the fear head on, you're getting stronger. Because as the famous dialogue by Nietzsche, he said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I would like to repeat that because it's so powerful. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I hope my video is delivering the key message to face the fear head on. What can happen? Understand, accept the idea of failure, because the ultimate fear we have is the fear of failure. What if I go there and I fail? So be it. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is inevitable. Every successful person was a failure once. Because if you fail fast, the chances of you succeeding are higher versus someone who resists failure. The chances of him being a success is meek. I hope my today's video is bringing a lot of perspective, a new perspective towards the word called fear. I always like to call fear, F-E-A-R, as false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. And every time you let go, you take a step towards ultimate freedom. And this is what Michael is talking about. And every time you don't, every time you try to block it, shove it up in the corner, the next time it's going to be even more difficult. Thank you so much for your time on my video, and we'll talk about the next chapter of this book, which is even more granular, which is even more breathtaking, to say the least, in terms of the spiritual literature we are talking about. Thank you, and I'll meet you in the next video. Bye.